Comencemos con un recuento del episodio 5 con nuestro invitado Martin Merenyi.
But it is true that I see many professionals who have, Grammys and platinum records admitting later on that they mixed something on a plane with headphones and it still worked. So,
Wow.
So the plan for me was to become a hotel director. But once I picked up that guitar, there was absolutely no way that I would put on a tie and a suit and work in a hotel. That was just never going to happen ever.
What's like the ideal scenario for you as a mix engineer to get a job and get into it?
Yes. So I first and foremost appreciate communication as much as possible. I appreciate a really clear vision from the artist, both in terms of sound, but also in terms of what has been produced already. I like to hear there's purpose, there's intention in the decisions that have been made before the files come to me. And that can be anything from what snare sample has been chosen to how a guitar or what guitar was recorded in a particular song, whether it's a Stratocaster or Les Paul, which fits better. Of course, so I take the ingredients that you have bought in Tesco or Walmart or whatever supermarket you have and combine them into a final dish that tastes good. Or in our case, sounds good. So that's basically what I do. You go into the studio with a song that you have composed. You record everything. Those are the ingredients, ideally with a purpose. And then I will make sure to work on the presentation of those ingredients. So they sound good. Because what I love about mixing, if I may quickly that, it is equally creative as it is technical. So I don't like being only creative. I don't like being only technical. I like a bit of both. And this is the perfect challenge for me every time. Yeah. I mean, it was a challenging song to mix because, just so the audience understands, we have 80 to 19 tracks here. That means 80 to 90 ingredients that have to make sense in the end. So it's a lot going on. It was very clear to me from the beginning that I would have to do a lot of automation to really emphasize, as you said earlier, the swells, these little emotional bits. And that was indeed something that I automated in on the volume faders. So what I think most people, or many engineers, don't do on vocals is looking after resonances which happen. And for me, that's a huge part. And that's a natural occurrence in our organ, in our instrument, which is the voice box. We all have particular whistles and resonances in our voice, which are a natural part of it, but are not the part that we want to hear. I started out on analog consoles. So I started mixing actually on Neve and SSL and API and all of these consoles. And it's very different from the approach perspective. From sonically, I think we're getting really close to it. So people out there, compression is your enemy. It's not your friend. As little as possible, but as much as you need. And it's usually less. I think that the sonic signature of a mixer is essentially just a coincidence. It's a combination of what that engineer prefers, what that engineer likes, what that engineer hears through their monitoring, which could be anything, the room that person works in, and then the tools that they are using, which could be, again, just preference or whatever was available. So
since you mentioned the plugins, which are the plugins that you can't live without? Let's say your top 5.
Oh, yes. There are some, but I'll tell you, but before I do that, just so the audience understands, like, you can use whatever it is. Everything out there today is basically good enough. So just because I use something, you don't have to use it. Just because someone on YouTube tells you, you don't have to do that. And I talk about this a lot in my videos, that even the stock plugins in Logic can and will get you professional results if you know what you're doing.
They have come a long way.
Oh my God, the EQ is now fantastic. They also have analog emulations. Everything is really good in it, honestly. But yeah, now to answer your question, for me, I mean, honestly, if it's this, it's the Slate bundle.
I know you like Slate, yeah.
Yeah. It's not even just that I like it. It is really good. I think there are better ones out there, to be honest, but this one is so extremely convenient and so fast to use and sounds really, really good at the same time. it's the most convenient way of working, and it's very fast. I like having everything in one plugin with the virtual mix rack, that's
Right.
amazing. On the master bus, I use some different ones, that's another level thing. A soft tube, I really love soft tube and plugin alliance things as well. Yeah, I mean, look, the EQ in the SSL EQ in Slate, is it the same as an original SSL EQ? No, I've used a lot of original SSL EQs. It's not the same. Is it good enough? Is it still an EQ? Yes, it is still a really, really good EQ and sounds similar. Same for everything else. So everything does the job. I don't care if it's not identical, as long as I know that it is good, I guess.
Right. Yeah, as long as it helps you be creative and create something great, it works.
Yeah. Why not? Exactly.
And I think the Slate bundle, it's one of the best bangs for the buck out there, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's a very smart business model for them as well, the subscription thing. So they have customers for life.
Yeah, and even for producers now, like they have been adding a lot of tools, sounds and sound bundles that it's really attractive what they're doing.
I hear you teach as well. How did you come about teaching, and what is it that you're teaching right now?
Yeah, I was working with an educational company for a few years. Actually, I was doing all the feedback for their students. So over the last few years, I reviewed about 2,000 mixes.
Wow.
So I know what's happening out there. Trust me. I know all the problems that beginner mixers have. I know all of them very deeply.
Wow.
I talked to a lot of them, and they're doing a really good job in teaching the basics, and the course is amazing. It's very good. But I've still found that there was a gap there to bridge from the kind of entry level. So because what they do, of course, they sell videos, there's no one-on-one interaction. That's the best business model, of course. Make some videos, some PDFs, and sell it for a few $1,000s. Great business model, makes a lot of money. But there's a lack of personal connection, personal support for most of the people. So I thought that's where I can come in and take on it. I only do one-on-one teaching. I only do 1 or maximum 2 students a month. So I can really focus on them. And so far, within 3 to 4 classes, which are 3 to 5 hours each, I have, the feedback has been amazing. The quality of their work has gone 180 degrees, just completely different next level stuff, just because I managed to correct some of their mistakes. We managed to dive into some fundamentals that were missing in the beginning. So I can really dial in what you need, as an up-and-coming producer or mixer, It's not like, okay, these are the videos, watch it, good luck. It's like, what is actually your problem? Like, send me your music so I can hear what the problem is, and then we can work on it.
On behalf of the whole audio community out there and people who are learning as I am, I appreciate that you do that. I appreciate every time a professional spends some time into, putting back what they know. So that's really good from you.
Thank you. Thanks.
You kind of stepped into this question already also a few minutes ago, but I wanted to get a bit deeper. And this is like the usual question every mixer gets, but I'm pretty sure you are tired of answering this, and I get the sense of from what you have already said, but what's your take on analog versus digital?
It's the mindset that's the difference. It's the mindset. With analog, you do one mix and then it's the mix, because you will never ever recall it exactly the same way. And you work differently because you're in a different environment. You work much less with your eyes, you work much more with your ears. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, qualitatively, I think we can now deliver 99% the same with digital as we are able with analog. Sometimes even better, because digital gear doesn't crackle and doesn't make noise. Right. I had a lot of those problems, but it's a mindset difference, and I do like working on analog still, but then it has to be understood. we hire a studio, which is expensive, we go in, and then what we take out from there is done. And then we don't go and, oh, but you know, that one syllable in that one vocal line, can you please make it 1 dB louder? It's like, no, I cannot. This is it. This is done now. So, and I like that because I think music had a much more finite, it was much more captured. It captured the time. It captured the moment much better this way, I would say. It captured everything that happened there in the heads of the artist, in the heads of the mixer, with the circumstances much better than today, where a production process can sometimes last weeks or months, or a mix. I had an artist, we did 10 revisions. I wanted to hang myself. And a month later, he asks me to turn one word in the mix louder. And I'm like, dude, that song should be released and you should have moved on to the next song. What are you still doing? You know, you're not getting your music out there. What's the point in doing all of this if your music is not getting out? So I think analog really eliminates this issue, you know.
Yeah.
You have your mix, it's done, and then it's out.
I believe, you know, amongst people that don't know a lot about sound mixing or anything at all, there's this notion that with sound mixture, you can make anyone sound great, even someone that doesn't really sing. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
I think okay, this is a cultural problem. I think culturally we have come to a point where we accept mediocrity as something good, unfortunately. So and sometimes not even mediocrity, but I'm sorry, but outright rubbish. Like really, really horrible stuff. And there's one plugin responsible for that. It's auto-tune. Honestly, I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
without
it's true.
80% of the artists on the radio today would not exist without auto-tune or any of these equivalents. They would not, because you cannot mumble into a microphone and become a superstar without auto-tune. That's just a fact. And I'm really sad about this, to be honest. I'm really sad that this music, so-called music, is getting more attention these days than music from artists that spend years or decades practicing and perfecting their craft, maybe investing significant amounts of money into their production, and then they get, you know, 100 views on YouTube, and someone downloading an MP3 beat, smacking a limiter on it and mumbling over it gets 1 million or 10, you know.
Yep.
I mean, where are we? Seriously.
Yeah. And that's really important what you're saying. There's another aspect of that for the artists, like 20, 30 years ago, when autotune was not there was some sort of value, I guess, some sort of likeness and appreciation for the little imperfections that the actual recording artist put into the microphone. It was kind of sometimes part of the emotion, sometimes outright human perception, you know?
Yeah. You still find it in some music, so I'm really happy to hear that a lot of the Adele stuff is actually not tuned. There are imperfections in it, and I love it. 21 Pilots, the first 2 albums, are actually not heavily tuned, and you can hear some of the imperfections, and it works. It's okay. I think people are too used to this tuned sound now that they don't even consider the mix finished or professional if it's not tuned, once you don't hear these artifacts on the vocal. This could be a big problem as well, that we have gotten used to something really artificial. And I think that's across everything. Like, people appreciate an over-salted, over-seasoned piece of meat and potatoes in McDonald's more than an organically well-tasting natural meal. You know, when I traveled Asia, like, the flavors were completely different, just very natural. Chicken tasted like chicken, vegetables tasted like vegetables. It's a completely different world than you know, what's going on in the West mostly.
Yeah. hopefully it'll be cyclical. I guess.
I actually think it will be. I actually think it will be. And I see a lot of signs of that. I think even rock music is having a comeback now. I see a lot more rock music getting more popular again, which is really good. I mean, even if we look at Miley Cyrus, she released what is basically a country album. I mean, that was completely unexpected from her. So I think it's cyclical, and we just have to see.
Even the synthesizer sound of the 80s is kind of making a comeback.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the big reverbs. Yeah.
And the fake drums.
I mean, it's very interesting that we somehow are unable to invent something new. Everything that is becoming popular is some form of a remake of something that happened 20 or 30 years ago. It's quite amazing.
I think there's kind of a nostalgia of a time when people made things more, I don't know, truthfully, I guess. Authentic. With more heart, perhaps, or authentically.
There are a lot of really big debates and cultural discussions about this, but a lot of in the movie industry, it's done on purpose right now that they're rehashing things from the old days because it appeals to older people who will watch a new Star Wars out of nostalgia.
Right.
And it will appeal to the new audience, the new teenagers. So it can actually bridge this gap. Now, okay, they have basically with the new Star Wars, they have retold the exact same story with different characters. Like, okay.
How many times can you tell that story?
How many times exactly? But it was a massive success. Still, it did well.
Yeah, it's
Cobra Kai.
It's the business.
Cobra Kai.
Oh, Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
that one's good. That one's good.
It's really good, but it appeals
nostalgia.
To me with nostalgia, like massively. It does the whole kind of uber liberal versus conservative, old school minded person contrast really well. It appeals to both sides really well.
And then they included the younger kids.
Exactly. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, that's one particular exception where I think they have done a few brilliant things with the script.
I agree. Yeah.
Their acting might not be the best. It was never the best, but I think it's a really good story to follow. Okay,
but it appeals fully to the nostalgia part of it.
100%, with the flashbacks and everything. Yeah.
And have you listened to the actual music they put in there? Like they get some 80s song and they put a really modern version. It's really good. The music they're revamping in the series.
Yeah. Some old school rock classics as well. Yeah.
Cool. So, do you have any favorite reverbs?
Okay. Yes. The Tsar, actually, I'm playing around with it again. I always fall back to that song. I really love the Tsar, the TSAR from Softtube.
Yeah.
Amazing thing. It does a lot of things really, really well. Really like that thing. I really love the Slate's version of the emulations, basically. So I really love Lexicon's 480s. Lexicon 480 is one of my favorite units. I really like old school plates. EMI, was it EMI reverbs, reverb plates? And let me just check what else I have here.
The one you mentioned from Slate, was it the Verb Classics?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, what that does, it emulates a bunch of other stuff,
right,
basically, and it does it actually really, really well. Yeah, the 250s, the Bricasti is great, but it's always too bassy, so that's something to be mindful about. 224 is amazing. These are all the emulations inside this package, but for those who don't know, Slate hasn't reinvented anything here. It's emulations of really old, really famous reverb units.
Right.
So I think the Lustritz Place, Liquid Sonic Slate. Oh my God!
Yeah,
beautiful thing.
I was going to ask you about that one. Have you tried their Seventh Heaven?
Is it a preset or?
No, it's it's from Liquid Sonics. It's I think it's based on Bricasti as well.
Okay.
It's really good. They have like a couple of versions, like a light version, and they have a.
Oh, cool! I'll check. But Liquid
Yeah.
Sonics just released a new reverb, which is meant to be incredible. I want to
Yeah,
check
they're playing big in that arena. I think I mean Lustrous Plates, it's great, but
yeah,
Seventh Heaven, I really enjoyed that one. It's fairly
Wait.
easy. It's fairly easy to get into a good place there.
That's cool. I'm just gonna open it to check out later.
Yeah.
Do you have like a sound engineer hero that you would like to meet?
And yeah, quite a few.
What would you ask
actually.
him or her?
I would love to meet all of the big ones, basically. Chris Lord-Alge, because he mixed some of my favorite records. So I grew up with Green Day, basically.
Okay.
And I think if it wasn't for American Idiot and Blink-182's records, I wouldn't be here today, because I would have chosen another career. But I also grew up listening to Beatles and everything else, so very diverse musical influences. Yeah, I would love to talk to him. I would Michael Brower, definitely, Andrew Sheps, Jason Joshua, Manny American, very interesting. Although I don't always agree with his mixes, to be honest, especially what he did with Linkin Park. Maybe it's a debate I could have with him. Yeah, many of these big ones. And you know what? I wouldn't, because here's the thing. We will never find out what went on in their heads when they did a mix. And that's something that we have to understand, that just because we know their settings, they can share their settings, those settings will not make sense in anything that I receive ever. So I can buy the gear that they're using, I can set up everything the way they set it up. My ears will still be different, my instincts, my thoughts will still be different. So I would most likely ask questions about what were you thinking, and what I would love to hear is I would love to hear the original recording of American Idiot without any plugins, without anything on it. And some of my other favorite records, Muse, Blink, Marilyn Manson even, just to hear how it was before it and how much you have done and why you have done that. That would be my most interesting conversation with them.
Yeah, makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Actually, I was really fortunate to meet the engineer of Muse, and it's little known, but they have been working with the same engineer basically since they started, and they developed together, and you can really hear that on their music as well. And he basically said that, yeah, when they send things off to the mixers, it's 90% there. It's 90% there, which is mind-blowing when you consider the Second Law or any of the subsequent records, how pristine and polished they sound, that it's 90% there before being sent to the mixer. That's wow. And because they have the luxury to rent out, Air Studios for 6 months and try everything and every possible combinations. Like, okay, here we have a guitar. Let's spend the next 2 weeks on that one guitar sound. Okay, let's do it. When do we have lunch? Let's have lunch now. Okay, then we come back and we do guitar.
Sounds ideal.
That's fun. Yeah. That's fun. Hey, Martin, you also design acoustics, as you mentioned. You took some learning experience on that, and you studied it. Tell us a little bit about that, and especially how it complements your services, both as an engineer and maybe as a teacher.
So I think whenever we record or mix anything, wherever there is a sound in place that is not happening from an electronic instrument such as a synthesizer, I think an electric guitar is still an acoustic instrument because we do record it with microphones in the end. And when you have speakers in a room, the acoustics are the most important element of all, basically. So for me as a mixer, I have spent a lot of money on my monitoring. Nothing else matters. I would be happy working with Logic plugins as long as my monitoring is good, because then I know what I hear, I know what decisions I have to make, and then I know I can mix. So I would much rather have good monitoring and shitty plugins than the best plugins but really bad monitoring. Sorry for swearing. I'm not supposed to do that.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, I did this master's degree because I wanted a challenge, to be honest. I wanted to learn something new. I felt it could be useful for me as an engineer. First, to be able to develop my own studio to my liking, of course,
Right.
but then also helping others with their studios and their environments. And yeah, it just really opened my eyes to how important it actually is. And you know, I've been to quite a few studios by now, and not all of them sound great, to be honest. So I've been
You
to
mean
a lot of
you mean commercial studios? You mean?
yeah, commercial studios that you can hire, and you can see that a lot of them, they spend a lot of money on gear, because that of course catches the eye of the customer much more.
Right.
And then acoustics is maybe secondary or a third aspect of it, where it should be the reverse. And then when I went to a friend's studio, Puzzle Factory, which he built, it was designed by a professional, but he built it to the millimeter. And it sounded incredibly, like mind-blowing. And then he had it measured and tested, and it's now the top 2 best listening rooms in the world. The top 2% best acoustically treated listening studios in the world.
Where is that one located?
Wow.
That's in London.
London. Wow.
Yeah. You can't rent that place. It's his place. He doesn't let anyone in there, but it sounds absolutely amazing. And there, yeah, like you can mix anything there. You know it will translate. So that's really important to me. So acoustic treatment is very important to me. Live rooms, you know, like you say, oh, I want to record drums like Led Zeppelin. Then you have to, if it's not possible, you have to use the same drummer, same drum kit, same microphones in the same room with the same outboard equipment, and then mix it, master it the same way. So it's too many variables to replace, recreate that. But yeah, so it's an acoustic phenomena. It was a certain kind of room. I think they used the staircase of the studio and put microphones there as well. That's all acoustics. So the characteristics of a room are hugely important to what kind of recording you will make in the end. And there's a video on YouTube, 1 drummer, 6 studios or something like that, where they take the same drum kit with just 1 microphone in 6 different studios, and it blew even my mind how different it is.
Wow.
It blew even my mind.
I'll look it up.
Different.
I want to see that.
So different.
Wow. And one question, like I know how important it is to to set up the acoustic of this space, right? With there are different techniques, different materials, different positioning of those materials. It also depends of the purpose of the studio or the main purpose of that area. Do you find yourself maybe getting once you have the physical aspect of the room mostly controlled, do you find yourself like making any final tweaks with these new software tools, or what do you think in general about them?
Yeah, I think I was very skeptical, and the reason is that I just bought SonarWorks Sound ID, I think 1 or 2 months ago. And I can tell it has helped tremendously. It has helped a lot, actually. I'm working even faster now than I was before, which is really good for me. It does not replace acoustic treatment. Right. So if you have a lot of reverb in your room, you have to bring that reverb down. It doesn't matter, because this cannot fix it. It can fix, I would say, up to 6 decibels of fixing it can do. Beyond that, it starts sounding artificial. I noticed I have 2 room modes in my room. I think 120 and 160 hertz, which are at this 6 dB limit. Okay. I want to get rid of those with real acoustic treatments, so that SonarWorks doesn't have to work that hard, because I can hear a little bit of this artificial EQing going on. Okay. So yes, super valuable, definitely. I'm a convert, I'm converted. I'm a believer now. It's very, very good, but it doesn't replace acoustic treatment at all. It can complement it, definitely, but not replace. And with sound a lot. So now, because of all of that, I also started investing into new headphones, and I have these HD 650s. They sound also amazing with SonarWorks.
Hold on.
Yeah, hey.
The 600.
Your headphone buddies. Nice. Great. And the Austrian Audio High X60s, these are quite new.
Okay.
They just came out, and I really like them as well. They don't have a SonarWorks profile just yet, but they sound really good. So
Have
you know,
you
it's just
tried?
another set of.
Are you thinking of trying these late headphones?
Yes, I was thinking, but then I heard there's a lot of quality issues with it.
Okay.
And I tried a few other room emulations for headphones, and no, for me, no. And if the headphones are good enough, I don't think you should need it, to be honest. Right. But also, SonarWorks can actually emulate a few different curves, which is good enough for me.
Yeah,
so
yeah. They have the standard or average headphone profiles.
Yes.
Or you can send
useful.
your headphones. Yeah.
Super useful.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, Martin, we really appreciate your time this morning. We have a final question. We always ask our guests, and Vanessa is going to shoot that one.
Okay.
Well, as you know, canciones café means songs and coffee. So for many of us, at least in Puerto Rico, it's like the ideal setting. You know, you're sitting down with your coffee cup and you're listening to a song that you like, and it's like you fly away from your problems for a little while. So do you take coffee or do you prefer tea? And if you take coffee, how do you take it? Coffee,
Peruvian beans, black roast, please, and cappuccino.
Ooh,
no sugar.
Nice.
Yes. I love coffee. I'm a huge coffee addict.
You see, Ricardo, he told me maybe he's a tea person. I'm like, we can ask him.
All right. So when you come to Puerto Rico, we have plenty of coffee here. So you're gonna be in good hands.
Good. I'm really happy to hear that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone.
Martin, please share your social media links or webpage just so that everyone that is listening to this can follow you or keep following you along your way.
Yes, my website is martinmixing.com, just as it said. That's where you can find some of my work. You can reach out to me, whatever your needs are, as long as it's audio related. And at Martin Mixing is my Instagram.
Good. So, Caroline, your links?
Oh, at Insta, I'm at Caroline _Vanessa _AC. And Facebook, I'm Vanessa Alicea. So
perfect.
I don't have a webpage.
And for Canciones Café, you can always reach us at www.canciones.cafe. We also appear in Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as @Canciones Café or Canciones Café. And you can reach any of us there if you have any further questions.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was this question. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I have one question.
Oh, Martin has a question. Okay.
Yeah. If I may, how did you find me from basically the other end of the world to work with you?
That's I have my ways, man. I reach people. That's what I do. Yeah. Basically, honestly, I've been following your profile for quite a long time. I would say maybe a year and a half in Soundbetter.
Oh, seriously? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you are one of the for anyone who's interested or who doesn't know, Martin is one of the top ranked mixing engineers in the Soundbetter platform, which provides different types of services for musicians and producers. And I always scout whatever is happening there in Soundbetter. I've used Soundbetter plenty of times. And I have always, you can do the little heart or you like this resource. Well, that heart has been in Martin for a while now.
Oh, okay.
So it happens. I didn't have the chance before, and when we were producing Entre Tu Sombra, we actually we looked for 3 or 4 different options, but based on your profile and a little strings things that we listen in some of your past productions, we decided to go with you, and I think it was one of the best decisions we have made recently.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. That's crazy. Yeah, because Soundbetter really changed everything for me, to be honest. So I don't think I could do what I do without it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think at some point you were highlighted, and
they used my photo.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had already seen your profile. Like you were on you were on my scope there.
That's quite amazing. Yeah, there are a lot of good people there, and actually my former mentor is up there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good service. I mean, again, it's a new way of working, and
yeah,
it allows me to do something fairly good and sounding professional, even if I don't have the resources here. So,
yes.
It's been really insightful, this session, where I'm really excited about putting it out there and get people listening to you and your experience and learning stuff from you. I've had a blast. So really, thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, really.
Thank you.
So I really look forward to keep working with you. Hopefully we'll do some other stuff this year, and we'll probably have you back in the show
awesome.
in the future as well.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to all of that. Absolutely.
All right. Well,
keep on rocking.
Yeah,
keep rocking, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Speak soon. Bye.